So hello friends, I am Neeraj. In this session we'll be talking about range keyword. So range keyword is used to basically iterate through different kind of data structures like array, slices, maps, strings, or a channel. So in this session we are going to see how we can iterate through array, slice, map, and a string. And channel we will see when we discussed about channels. Called channel we haven't understand that so far. So let us try to understand how we can iterate through array basically using for loop. So first let us create maybe AR1 variable, and that is going to be array with 5 elements of type int, and we are also going to initialize it. So 4 and 5, and in order to iterate through it, so with the iteration we mean that we will loop through the length of the array, and we will extract each and every element of an array. So in order to do that, we will start a for loop, and we will initiate a counter starting from the 0, cause the array or for slices, so indexing starts with the 0th index first, and we will use the len function, that is a standard library function, to iterate through the length of the array. So whatever the length of array is, so we are going to iterate up to that time, and we are actually going to check, we will iterate through this loop till the value of I, big I, is lesser than the length of our array, and we will increment the value of I. So again we are going to just write it something, so printf, and we will say this is an array, and for this array, so array index, and here we are going to say this %v, and the value would be, for this we are going to print, and we will also add a /n for the new line character, and we are going to supply the variables. So first one would be I, and second would be AR1, and we will pass the for the indexing we will remember we have already seen that we can access the individual element of an array with the indexing. So here, instead of the regular values, we are passing the variable I as an index of this array. So we will save this, and we will run our program. Go run main.go. So here we are getting the index 0th index, the value is 1, as the first int in the value is 2, and so on, and the fourth index the value is 5. So that is perfectly fine. So there is nothing wrong with it, and but there is a better way to go with the iterate using the range keyword. So that is also very simple. So basically range returns usually two things. First is the index. So we are going to collect this in the variable I, and it returns the second one, it returns the actual value. So we are going to collect that in the variable v, and we will say range to AR1, our array variable, and we will copy this, and we will paste it here, and we will simply replace the value v, and we will just comment it out for the sake of clarity. So if we run our program, so again we are going to get the same outputs. So there is nothing wrong, but actually using this range keyword, so things are much simpler, right? Isn't it? So this is actually beauty of our range keyword, and we will also see for a slice. So this time we are going to see for slice, and we are going to create a slice, and we will say slice of maybe let's say int, or int also fine, no problem, and we will initialize this with 2 and let's say 3, and again we will say first let us try to go this way with the regular for loop, and we will simply replace the variable name slice and slice 1, and here also we will say slice 1, and instead of this array we will say slice. Let us run this up our program. So yes, we that's fine. So we okay. I forgot to pass the index actually, so that is why it was printing the whole slice. Fine. So this is, we are getting the slice value also, so there is nothing wrong. So 0th index we are getting the value 1. Fine. So again we can we can achieve the same thing using the range keyword. So we will start with the I and V. So this we can use any variable, so there is nothing as that we have to use only I and V. So these are the variables, so choose the name appropriately as per your liking. But usually for indexing, so I is a you can think of it as a convention, so most people go that way. So I and V, and we will say range, and we will say slice, and we will simply this time also we will copy this, and here we will say V, and we are going to comment this. And for the sake of clarity, I think we can also have a new line, and for the new line, so I am going to use the println. Fine. And let me clear our screen. So here also we are for this slice we are actually achieving the same stuff, and even though if we add some new element to our this slice, so that is also going to work, so there is nothing wrong. So it will keep on keep on giving the output of up to the length of this slice, right? So slice also we have seen, and we can also iterate through a map as well. So map, and let us say we are going to create a map of, we will say map of let's say string, and the key would be a string and the value would also be a string, and we will initialize this with let's say name is equal to Neeraj, and let's say language would be, let's say, English, and we will say very easily for, we will say I, V, and this is basically special, so that is why I think it's better to understand. So we will again copy this one, and here again we will say I and V, and for the sake of clarity I am going to have a new line like this. And if we for this map, so actually it will return the I would be having the key, this key, and the V would be having the value. So let us see how it returns. So we are going to, that index would be the name, and the value would be the Neeraj, and the index would be the language, and value is the English. So here what is happening here is very simple. Very simply, this key name is coming into variable I, and this value is coming into variable V as at the first iteration, and at the second iteration this language would be coming into variable I, and this English is coming into variable V. So this is how this map returns the I and V returns the key and the value instead of the usual indexes. So indexes actually the slice and array, so that starts from the 0th. So that is why there we were getting the index, and for the map we are going to get the key and the value. So okay, so let me clear this out, and also we are going to see one more thing. Let me first clear our screen, and we are going to iterate through a string. So let me first copy this whole stuff, and here we are going to iterate through a string. So let's say we are going to have a name, variable name, and this name is, let's say we are going to have Neeraj, and we will iterate through this name. And here if we try to run our program again, so we will say, actually let me have it for the sake of clarity, for a better understanding. If we run our program, so basically for this string, so when we try to iterate through it, so index actually we are going to get, so we are having 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So likewise, so we are starting from the 0th index, we are going to get up to the 5 index. But then see, for the value part, we are actually getting only the numerical values and not the individual characters, because this returns when we try to range through a loop through a string. So basically it returns a row int, so we have to cast it to our string. So that is very easy. So all we have to use the string function to convert this integer, this row int into a string. And now if we try to run our program, so we are going to get at the 0th index, so at the index 0, at the 0th index, so we are going to get the I would be 0, and this n is going to come here. So at the 0th index, n is coming here, e is at the first index, and at the second index this and this, and at the last index, at the 5th index, we are going to get the value z. So that's it. And so this is how we can iterate through an array, slice, map, string. And as I mentioned earlier, so for the channels, so we will see that we will loop through our channels, so when we learn about channels. So that's all for this session, and I hope you enjoyed this session. So if you have anything to say, so just mention in the comment section, and I will try to reply back you soon. And till then, take care and happy coding.